We're going to do some quick practice about aggregate demand. I do encourage you to check out Jacob Clifford, the AC/DC econ video about aggregate demand. I think he calls it Macro 3.1. You should really check that out first if you need a quick couple of minutes refresher and some practice. But this is just going to be prompts, and we're going to say if there's no change in aggregate demand, if it changes C, I, G, or XN, and does aggregate demand go up or down, increase or decrease. So here we go. Significant boom in the stock market. So that's going to be wealth. Consumers are going to feel more wealthy. So we're going to say consumers increase in consumption spending, and so aggregate demand goes up. Okay. Increase in Social Security payments. This one again is going to be consumption, and it's going to be an increase, and so aggregate demand would increase. And again, this is not G, right? Not G. We just did that in the previous video. Consumers fear a recession is coming. That's consumer spending going down, because if they fear a recession, they're going to try to save away some of their acorns for that winter time, right? You want to keep some savings. So we'd say aggregate demand down. And just for reference here, right, I'm not going to write all of these on here, but if AD goes up, that's a shift to the right and left. Increased income of global trade partner. So that means that your trade partner is going to buy more of your stuff. So we'd say net exports go up. So increase and to the right. Congress cuts personal income taxes, so that's going to affect consumption, and it should go up. Again, not G, right? Because G is only for government spending on goods and services. Investment spending decreased. Okay, that one's easy. I, down to the left. Consumers expect a strong job market soon. So this is going to affect consumption. If you think the job market's going to be really good soon, then you aren't as worried about losing a job. You'll think you'll keep your job, things like that. So we're going to say increase to the right. If they cut defense spending, Congress does, that is government spending, and that's a decrease, and to the left. If they decrease pension payments, though, right, this is a transfer. So not G, right, this is consumption spending. Decrease, left. Now, lower inflation. Here we go. Now, lower inflation means price levels changed. So price levels changing means that we aren't going to see aggregate demand shift. Lenders are going to change nominal interest rates. Nominal. That's a key word here. This is not going to change aggregate demand, right? It's actually going to be, if they decrease their nominal interest rates, then what we would see, right, is an increase in the quantity of aggregate demand. We can say that. Central bank increases the money supply, decreases real interest rates. So this one's going to have an effect. And if there's lower real interest rates, both consumption and investment will go up, and aggregate demand will rise and will shift to the right. Again, the difference here between real and nominal, is it caused by inflation? If it is, then there's no change. If it's the central bank doing something here and there's a real change, then it's really going to change something. So one way to remember, a real interest rate change produces a real change of aggregate demand. But otherwise, we're not going to see that change. Now, this number 12, I made a mistake. I typed increases. It should say decreases. The US dollar decreases in price compared to the euro, making US goods cheaper. Now, you don't really have to understand the first half. You could just read making US goods cheaper. And if the goods are cheaper for Europeans, then net exports should go up. And aggregate demand goes up, and it shifts to the right. But I think it's useful to think about this first part. If the US dollar decreases in price compared to the euro, let's think for a second. I'm going to just think about, right, imagine, in time period 0, you had 1 US dollar could be bought for 1 euro. So if Europeans come to the United States and they have 100 euros, right, 100 euro, they transform into 100 US dollars. Okay. Now, in T period 2, or 1, in this case 0 to 1, it says that the US dollar decreases in price. So the dollar, you could get more of them. When we say the dollar decreased in price relative to the euro, what we're really saying is that 1 euro, right, now buys 2 US dollars. So the dollar is cheaper. So their 100 euro gets transformed into 200 US dollars. And that means that the Europeans can buy twice as much stuff. Now understand, price levels in the United States didn't change. It was only the exchange rate between these two. So this doesn't mean that goods and services in the US are twice as expensive. On the contrary, The goods stayed the same price in the US. The Europeans can just buy twice as much. And that's what we mean when we say the US goods are cheaper. They're actually cheaper for the Europeans to buy. So that's why the net exports rise. Again, this net exports here, different from the net exports effect that's in the previous lecture about price levels being the thing that happens here. Notice that there's nothing here about price levels. It's actually the exchange rate that's causing it. And we wrote down here exchange rates unit 10. We're going to come back and look at that. Now, let's keep rolling. Number 13, businesses reduce purchases of new equipment. So that's going to be investment down, down, and left. Higher price levels domestically reduce foreign purchases of domestic goods. So price levels, again, change in price levels. Pay attention for those. No change. It's going to not affect, right, the aggregate demand. But if there's reducing foreign purchases of domestic goods, that will decrease the quantity of aggregate demand. But it's going to move along the curve. Businesses report larger inventories at the end of the year compared to the beginning. So this, inventories, is investment spending. If there's more inventories, it's an increase. So it's an increase and to the right. Rising price levels. There we go again. Price levels. Change in price levels. So no change, no change. Decrease consumers' wealth and purchasing power. So consumers are going to reduce their quantity of aggregate demand, a slide along the curve, but it's not going to be a shift. The last two, home buyers express strong preferences for newly constructed houses. Any new construction in the private market is investment spending, and so that's going to go up and shift to the right. And last but not least, Americans express preferences for new international automobiles. That means the Americans are going to be buying less US-made goods and more imports. So it would actually reduce our net exports, reduce and go to the left. So hopefully this practice helped you. I know it was pretty whip fast, but hopefully you've taken some good notes. I'll see you next time.